Hey guys, how you guys do today? I figured I would talk about autism and sensory sensitivities. So, for me, personally, I didn't have many auditory sensitivities until I got older. And, so there's a story, for example. Every single day, a white woman would drive by a church, well, on a road, but the church was like a few miles away. And she had her daughter in the back seat, and as soon as it hit a certain time, the daughter would begin squalling and, "Oh, Mom, I'm hurting. And the mom just thought her kid was full of it. Turns out, every single day at that certain time, a church bell would go off a few miles away, and the kid could hear it, but the mom could not. So, there's a lot of sounds that we hear that other people don't hear. So, I got a scholarship for music. Even though I do music already, I got a scholarship for it, so I started going to a college for music. And what I noticed is day one I started getting a headache, and I was like, what's going on? I've never really gotten auditory, issues before. And as the year went on, I started having bouts of deafness, and I started having chronic fatigue in my ears. I started having really bad headaches. I started feeling unwell, started getting nauseous. And it was because everybody was talking in all the classrooms at once. There was music going on everywhere. And since it was a music college, there was, people playing music in the back rooms, practice rooms. And it took me a while to realize it. We went to the ear doctor. She's like, there's nothing wrong. I don't know what's going on with you. She's like, oh, maybe you're just crazy. And I'm like, no, it feels like there's something in my ear. Like it would make this weird pounding noise, and I would hear static. Like it was all over the place. And I would have constant ringing in my ears. And she's like, I don't know what would cause that. And then we started looking it up. Turns out it was autism. Now, I tried several different ear products for it. Noise canceling headphones can help a lot, but there's certain earplugs that are supposed to, cancel out the frequencies and stuff. And they're like, oh, with autism, you're normally supposed to be sensitive to low frequencies. But personally, for me, I'm sensitive to a lot of high frequencies as well. So the earbuds kind of didn't do all of it for me because I think maybe everybody has a slightly different, sensitivity. For example, a friend of mine has like an autistic brother, and they said that, they couldn't listen to any music except Frank Sinatra. Anybody else, the kid would begin screaming and crying because it was painful. And I can attest to that. When I hear certain people's voices, even if they have a good singing voice, it'll hurt real bad, and it'll be just like this horrible pain. And it's not just in your head, it's the way your brain's wired. So with autism, we interpret a lot of sound frequencies. If there's certain frequencies that instead of interpreting as sound signals, our brain interprets as actual pain signals instead. That's why we have the hearing sensitivity. It's just the way our brains are wired, it kind of messed it up a little bit. So certain sounds can cause physical pain for us because the way our brains are wired. And, it's basically like hearing pain, That's why a lot of times, autistic kids like quiet and peace, because a little too much noise and then it goes all the way into the pain category. And once you have a headache from this, it's hard to get to stop. Like normal medicines for headaches and stuff don't seem to work. You're just constantly like, oh my God, you can barely think. It just drives you nuts. And it takes a little while, even if you're out of the atmosphere of, what would induce your headaches, it just still keeps going on, and it's hard to get out. And honestly, I hope more people are aware that, autism, like the way you interpret pain, the signals in your head with autism can cause deafness and other things. And it's temporary, but the most I've ever had was like 30 minutes of deafness. One time it did happen, this was the first time it ever happened, but I didn't think it was due to autism. I just thought it was just hearing loss, but everybody else could hear fine, so I thought it was weird. One time I did the national anthem at like a minor speedway, and I had done it 2 times previously before, but this time they wanted me to stay in the pit with, you know, and all the race cars and stuff, and they kept vrooming around, but then all of a sudden I stopped being able to hear. And they said, hey, you got in the national anthem? I'm like, and I couldn't hear myself at all. Everybody else thought it was fine, but I didn't do what I wanted to do. And plus, since I couldn't hear it, after I got off stage, since I was I think 13, 14, I was crying my eyes. I was like, I messed up so bad, I could feel like I messed up. Because I could just like feel it, like I hit the wrong pitch, because if you can't hear if you can't hear while you're singing, you know, you're kind of screwed. So I could just feel that I was doing the wrong pitch, and I felt so bad. Also with now with sound and autism, just this little bonus thing is a lot of autistic children tend to have monotone voices, and I had that when I was younger too. And when I talk to someone who has a monotone voice, my voice will temporarily revert back to a monotone voice, but then after like 30 minutes, it'll turn back to normal. But that's just an interesting little quirk. And I noticed that I accidentally pick up people's accents when I'm talking to them. And it takes a little while to get rid of it, like a day or two with that. So just a little happy note at the end of this. So if you have autistic children, you're autistic yourself, just keep in mind if you start having bouts of deafness and stuff, get it checked out by the doctor. But autism can also, you know, cause that because of the way our brains interpret sound signals. So I hope you guys have a wonderful day, feed the good tree, and I hope to see you guys soon.